You guys are gonna have to forgive me on a couple accounts here. I've been losing my voice. I haven't been feeling very well lately, so I'm gonna do my best to get this video out, but it's because I've got a topic on my mind. I want to talk about it right now. The topic I want to discuss today is going to be conduct unbecoming of an officer. The reason I'm talking about conduct unbecoming of an officer is because this is something that I have been charged with, and according to the Civilian Oversight Committee that overviews complaints made against officers of my department, I have been found guilty of unbecoming conduct multiple times in the last couple of months. I want to talk about what it was that I did to have been found guilty of unbecoming conduct most recently. The first thing actually leads into the second, and if I can remember when I get this onto my computer, I'm going to put it up here, maybe take up the whole screen, I'm not quite sure. But I made a comment on my Officer Ben Instagram where I said something to the effect of, the message is clear. You don't get shot and killed, you don't get injured, you don't get wounded if you sit in a parking lot and don't do anything. You won't get fired, you won't get criminally charged, nothing bad will happen to you if you just sit in a parking lot and don't do anything. The message is clear, stop trying. That comment got highlighted by the Civilian Oversight Review Board, or whatever you want to call it, for my department. And I was found guilty of conduct unbecoming of an officer for violating standard operating procedures and encouraging officers not to do their job. The reason it's funny is because that comment was about them. That is the message that they are sending to police officers just like me. And it's really funny the context of which I'm getting discipline out of this. Because the only reason that I have faced any discipline for stuff that happened at work is because of times that I have actually tried to help people, tried to do the right thing. And then the Civilian Oversight Review Board will look at it and say, well, we realize that you were trying to do the right thing, but we don't like the way you tried to do it, so we're going to say that you're wrong, and we're going to say that you need to be punished. The second and the most recent instance of this is really hilarious, because I was found guilty of conduct unbecoming of an officer because I called a crazy person crazy. This was a situation where I was dispatched to a vacant house that had nearly burnt to the ground at one point in time. There were some construction workers there that were trying to, gut the home, rehabilitate it, get it ready for sale for the owner. And there was a homeless person who had begun squatting on that property. I talked to the property owner. They brought me all this paperwork from a building inspector that said, hey, look, this building has been deemed unsafe. Nobody is allowed to be inside. The only people who are allowed to be inside are construction workers, and they have to have the valid paperwork proving that they're the ones who are supposed to be in the building at the time, if you follow what I'm saying. So we pulled this guy out of the house. We showed him the paperwork. We said, listen, you're not allowed to be here. This isn't your property. You have no right to the property. He was literally insane. He was claiming that he had rights to the property because he had lived there several months prior, and when the leaseholder got evicted from the house, he was not actually evicted, therefore he had rights to be there, which is just not true. So I explained to him he was not allowed to be on the property, he had to leave. The next morning I was dispatched out to the same house because this guy, when I was not at work, went back on second and third shift, removed the boards from the doors, got himself back in the house, and had barricaded the door from the inside. I got flagged down by the construction crew and was told, hey, the crazy guy from yesterday is back in the house. Can you remove him? We would like to have him criminally charged this time. So I go up and I knock on the door, and I'm calling this guy. His name was Virgil. I'm like, Virgil, you need to come outside. This isn't your house. We discussed this yesterday. He begins screaming at me at the top of his lungs, saying he's not coming out. This is his house, that I don't know the law, that he's calling the police. I told him I am the police. Got on my radio and I told the dispatcher, hey, this guy's calling 911. I'm aware that he's calling 911. I'm going to remove him from this house, and he's going to be placed under arrest. While I'm knocking on the door, I'm saying, Virgil, you need to come outside. He said, I am not coming outside. This is my house. Why would I lie to you about this, officer? And I said, Virgil, you're lying because you're crazy. Now open the door. Get out here now. You're under arrest. The civilian investigator put in my investigative packet. So this guy, Virgil, I should backstep for a second. This guy, Virgil, called in a complaint, said that I used a sledgehammer to break down the door of his private residence, that I assaulted him, that I assaulted his 2 female companions who were prostitutes, and that I drug him out to the cruiser, that I beat his head into the cruiser, violated his rights in a variety of ways. The investigator found that I was exonerated on all of the excessive force complaints, all of the this, that, and the other, because I had the right to be there. Everything I did was perfectly legal and appropriate. But they added a complaint of rude and discourteous and conduct unbecoming, because they said that I used swear words, which I said, you're full of shit. So they said that's a swear word, that is rude and discourteous. And that I was disrespecting him by calling him crazy. Therefore, I am guilty of conduct unbecoming of an officer. So let's go back to my original comment, that the first time that I got charged with conduct unbecoming of an officer. I said, you will not get hurt, you will not get killed, you will not get injured if you sit in a parking lot and mind your own business. You will not get in trouble, you will not get fired, you will not face discipline, you will not get criminally charged if you sit in a parking lot. You will only get in trouble when you try. I will stand behind that comment, because there's all these calls for accountability, saying officers need to be held accountable, this, that, and the other thing. They're not holding accountable bad officers. What they're doing is they're picking on good officers, and they're hitting them with ticky-tack shit. They're trying to say that I conduct myself in a way that brings dishonor to my employer, when I'm one of the few people that's out there doing my job. There's a good number of officers, and the officers who I work with all know these people. We pick on these officers, we chastise them, we make fun of them, we talk shit about them. These are the officers that don't do their job. They go and they sit in a parking lot, they'll volunteer for a paper run, and they will take 3 hours to do a report that should take them 20 minutes. The reason that they're sitting on their paper for 3 hours on a report that should take them 20 minutes is because they figured out the game. They figured out the game that these civilian review boards, that these police activists, that these politicians, that these media people, that these Black Lives Matter people and these Antifa people, this is the message that those people are sending to good officers like me. That if you go out there and you do your job, and if you try to do the right thing, we will pick apart every single little thing that you do, and we will make sure that you pay for your efforts. In the world of 2023, that's unbecoming of an officer. To say that it's frustrating is the understatement of the century. That's the reason a lot of police officers are sitting in parking lots right now, and they're not out there doing their job. And that's the reason that good police officers like me are more reluctant to step up and do my job when I'm asked to do it. And it's a good reason that police officers like me are currently looking for another career.